So, just a quick video on why I think kettlebells are perfect for strength training for running and improving things in that area. So, a lot of people will use body weight exercises, which are absolutely doable, and you can make them more complex, more difficult to gain the strength for running. The importance with doing some kind of strength work when you're running regularly, especially when you're working on improving, is to my mind twofold, maybe threefold. One is it protects your joints from damage, so they're a little bit stronger, a little bit hardier and more resilient, and also the joints, so that you're less likely to injure yourself when you're doing things, or if you do have an accident, that your body's able to stay together a little bit better. The other side is the actual strength gains, which can happen in other areas that perhaps you don't push as hard when you're running, can lead to those marginal increases, which can help you PB and push yourself beyond your limits. Also, when running, we tend to, unless we're doing a lot of sprints and hill work, we only build our strength to the level that it can do what we need it to do, and then your body is working on endurance and stamina and long term being able to do it again and again, multiple reps. Whereas the strength training, if we push the weight, can then be used to improve our maximum effort, which conversely, although it seems like being stronger in those areas in maximum effort would not perhaps benefit running as much, it does, because then instead of using, when you're pushing yourself to your limit, perhaps 70-80% of your maximum effort in a particular muscle, usually the legs, maybe now you only need to use 40 or 50% of your maximum effort to go at a certain pace, in which case you've got more in the tank for later on, and it can reap rewards, especially in later stages of races and long runs. So I said three things. Recovery as well. Anything that adds something slightly different to your work, I think, can really aid recovery and the speed with which you're ready to go again. The trick, however, with strength training is to time it right, because if I'm going to do, hill sprints today or any kind of tempo work, having done a lot of heavy work with legs in strength training first, probably isn't going to be the best thing in the world. So I need to make sure I've got a good protocol in place. Now, what I find great with kettlebells is it's brilliant for your joints, especially like arms and elbows, obviously, but even knees, and it works when we're doing something like the kettlebell swings. It works that hip hinge, which is good for all-round mobility and keeping yourself maneuverable. So all those bits that get really tight, especially after a long run or an intensive training protocol, you can work really well to keep mobile and loosen up, which rather than using simple A to B dumbbells, usual gym workouts with equipment, this way we've got more of a flowing, smooth motion in what we're doing. And this way as well, especially with things like, so this is a lovely little warm-up around the world, and it's using my core, because I've got to keep my core stable, which is obviously great for running, and it's getting some mobility, and not only in my shoulders and elbows, but what I need to do is get some movement in my knees as well, so that I can get used to that rather than doing static up here. The aim is to get the whole body working together, which again is brilliant for running if we get used to doing that. And again, we've got sort of the swinging motions as well, and this gets us nice and warmed up. And then, as I was doing earlier, the kettlebell swings are an absolutely fantastic exercise that works down the backs of the legs here, great for the knees, keeps the lower back mobile. Obviously be careful if you do have a lower back problem, which I have to be really careful of. And the trick here is not to swing like this with a curved spine, but keeping the hinge in the hip here, so that's where the movement comes from. And honestly, this has a huge impact. And then the kettlebells can be moved on to things like whether you're doing goblet squats to get those thighs nice and strong, or we've got a more traditional deadlift, which the legs are a bit straighter and really works the glutes at the back there. Not quite sure my form's quite there, but look up a much better video than I'm doing for that. And then I really do think some upper body work is good, and not that I think they're great for it, but even like the curls, because anything that strengthens up and builds muscle on your body is going to be good overall. Obviously, if you take it to an extreme, push your protein, lots of really, really heavy work, you may put on more muscle than you want to if you're focused mostly on running. But you need to have a level of push to build those muscles stronger. And if you're doing mostly running in your regime, then you're not going to probably, unless you're really pushing things and really good at recovery and nutrition, you're not going to put on the weight of some great bodybuilder in a competition or powerlifter. But those basic gains in your legs, and especially early on, you're going to see, if you haven't been doing weight training before, the beauty of it is that you'll find you'll get a lot of gains very quickly. And some of this is to do with the mind-body connection and your nerves working better. And that really does make a huge difference quicker. And I feel like, were you to start strength training, if you didn't strength train, this is just really warm-up stuff, but using the kettlebell for the deadlifts, for the lunges, lunges aren't my speciality, my balance is off, but if you've got lunges, and I found using most of the effort on the front, it's hard work, but balance, stability, great for the knee and the ankle joint, just doing those. And very few people like lunges, but it's a brilliant exercise for strengthening those joints. Again, if you've got knee problems, you really do need to be careful. But kettlebell, mobility, core strength, overall strength, and active strength improvements, which is only ever, in my opinion, going to improve your running. It'll help with your long-term endurance because you won't be as close to maximal effort, and you will simply have more strength and power to push when you decide to do those sprints or hold that threshold pace or even go beyond. I hope that's been of some interest to you. I'm now getting ready for my next thing, which is called Deadly Dozen, but we'll do another video about that at some point. Also working on improving my 10k and 5k, hence I'm getting back to the weights again to get my strength going, as well as get my weight down a little bit to really push that 5k and 10k time. Have a great day, whatever you do. Thanks for listening.